Hey YouTube, Dawson Writer here with another Morphin Masters theory video. I recently did a video talking about various mentors and characters we've met over the years that some people believe could be Morphin Masters or eventually become one. And in that video I sort of talked about how I don't think anybody we've met is a Morphin Master, but they could become one, but we also don't know how you become one or if you even can. So that's what this video is going to be about. But before we get started, I just wanted to remind you to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos like this and more, including reviews. So, as of right now, I also already did a video explaining like what the Morphin Masters are when they first appeared, so I'll link that so you can check that out. But to summarize a part of it, we basically find out that there were these people in the Beyond the Grid comic that studied the morphing grid and basically become, well, these masters of it. And unless it's retconned in the show or sometime after this recording, they're not like gods born of the grid, like naturally born. It seems like they were somehow people that made themselves the Morphin Masters through studying and maybe somehow discovered immortality through it. Like I said, it begs the question of how you become a Morphin Master. Like, was it only a specific group it happened to and then it's closed off forever, or could other characters become it? I mentioned in that previous video too that the emissaries, who are sort of these, well, emissaries for the Morphin Masters, mentioned to Zordon, we hope you can that you can one day join us in the grid. But we don't know whether that means he could become a Morphin Master or whether he can become an emissary, and Morphin Master membership is sort of closed. We don't really know. So, and the Morphin Master, something else is interesting is we don't know how many of them are either. I mean, we see 6 of them in the show, based off of the colors of Dino Fury, which I think is done for the sake of the fact that we're doing it during Dino Fury, and that's that season's colors. But we see them in the comic, they all look relatively similar. We see a handful of them. There was also the one that Draken took the stone off of, so we don't know how many there are. Are there only 6? Are there 200? You know, was there only originally 6, and that's the ones we met, but you can become one later, and they just add to it over time? Like I said, if Zordon becomes one, would he also just start to look like a Morphin Master? We don't exactly know all of that, and again, they could clarify it in both the comic and the show, but at this moment, as of this recording, we don't know. But some ideas that some people have had, including myself, is that they could have somehow been like the original Rangers. Like maybe the first Morphin Masters was this group of 5 or 6 people that first discovered the grid and became the first people to ever become Power Rangers. And then they effectively leveled up and reached this new level of enlightenment until they became one with the grid and became the Masters. It would be kind of cool in a way if they used the Go Ranger suits for that. Like, I'm kind of torn. Part of me would be like, that would be neat if the Go Ranger suits were the first Power Rangers, period, whether or not they became the Morphin Masters. But at the same time, if we were going to do the first Power Rangers ever, I would also kind of want them to be our own original designs, but I'll probably use some Go Ranger pictures just for the sake of it for this video. But that's certainly an option, if they were the original Power Rangers and then somehow leveled up from like a millennia ago. And that opens the door up of that if you're a Ranger you could become one, because some people have brought up, hey, maybe the Phantom Ranger is a Morphin Master, or could become one. So if that's the case, and the Morphin Masters were once Power Rangers themselves, then maybe the Phantom Ranger could become a Morphin Master. Maybe Tommy could become a Morphin Master. Maybe Jason could become a Morphin Master. Maybe someone like Sentinel Knight could become a Morphin Master. If that thing about Zordon becoming one with the grid means he could become a Morphin Master, maybe you just have to be involved in it, meaning maybe a Ranger could become one, maybe just a mentor that's heavily involved with the grid to become one, can become one. As of this recording, in the main continuities like the comic and the shows, we don't, at least as far as I remember, Zordon was never a Ranger. He was in the movie version, so you know, maybe he was a Ranger at some point and we'll find that out in the comic or something, and that's why he could become one. But I think that's an interesting theory, that it could be previous Rangers or previous mentors, but we don't know whether that's closed off or not. I think that's something I'm really interested to explore. I think that in Dino Fury we will get more about them, even if it's just more stuff like, hey, they created the Ranger keys or something. But I think the comic will be the place to look for more in-depth lore, and I'm definitely curious to find more about the emissaries and more about the Morphin Masters. And maybe the Morphin Masters, you know, are going to be retconned as something more naturally reoccurring, and people that become one with the grid from helping, like Zordon or the Phantom Ranger, have to become emissaries or something like that, and they can't become Morphin Masters. We just don't know if they're closed off. But my theory is that there was an original group that basically became involved with the grid, whether they studied it or were Rangers themselves, and then became the Morphin Masters. And over time, more has been added, but it's a very difficult thing to become. And so there might be more than 5 or 6, but it takes a long time to become one. And I think that there's multiple different Morphin Masters now from multiple different time periods or universes that have been involved in the grid at one point or another, but I'm eager to find out. But what do you guys think? Where do you think the Morphin Masters come from? Do you think that they were just sort of mentor figures like Zordon, just some sort of sages, or do you think they were once Rangers? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Writer, signing out.